Women's International League for Peace and Freedom show The Wake Up Call on WCOM LP, Chapel Hill and Carrboro, 103.5 on your FM dial, or live streaming at WCOMFM.org. You can also watch the show on the People's Channel after a week's delay on Thursday night at 10 p.m., Friday morning at 6 a.m., or Tuesday at noon. The show will also be available on our YouTube channel, Wilf Wake Up Call. I'm Iris Schwinzer here with our host, Lori Hoyt, and Emily O'Hare on the camera. And today our special guest is Kyleene Rooks.
Thanks, Iris. So we're here with Kyleene, who is filling in for Emily Sutton. And so she's brand new, and what we're going to be talking about is the Haw River.
Yes, the Haw River Assembly and a little bit about two of the programs that we have coming up,
Which will be really exciting. So the Haw River Assembly, we've had Emily on before in the past, and she was due to be on today, but got tied up with sampling of the river water, which would be really important. I guess I have to keep check with the Haw River. The Haw River has a lot of problems with bacteria and stuff, doesn't it?
yes, and with some industrial contaminants as well.
Yeah, industrial contaminants, yeah. So that, thank goodness, Emily's a river keeper, and Kyleene has just started 2 weeks ago.
Yes, 2 weeks ago, brand new.
Brand new, to help. And so is there a team? Are there others on the, she said you were new on her team. Are there others besides you and Emily?
There are a few of us in the office year round. There's just the three of us and our bookkeeper. So Elaine would be the executive chair.
Okay. Oh, yes. What's her last name, Elaine? Yeah, it's okay. I'm not sure either. It's a real cute name.
I don't know how to say it properly, so I don't want to butcher it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it properly, but I've heard it, and I've seen her on some documentaries on public TV, and
she's really great, and she's super passionate about everything that our organization does.
Yes, and she's been there a while and knows the whole thing about it, all that needs to be done, all that they're trying to get done. And you're just beginning to find out.
Yes, I feel like I jumped into the deep end, coming in right before some of our biggest events of the year.
Well, then thank you for you were brave, and you're filling in the breach, and because we want to know about these events, and so I think we'll start off with one of the events that I think is going to be right here in Carrboro.
It is. It's going to be this coming Thursday, September 5th. It's the Wild and Scenic Festival. So it's a film festival that was originally put on in California. And then now there are places that will take the films that they post up in February and January, and they'll hold the film festivals in their own town. So we're going to hold ours, so like I said, September 5th at the Carrboro Century Center. And the doors will open at 6 p.m. Tickets are on sale online through Eventbrite. They're $20 for students, $25 for Haw River Assembly members, and $30 for non-members.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and I want to say that there's even an option where you can sign up to get your ticket and become a member of the HRA at the same time. So.
At the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is a fundraiser.
Yes, all of the proceeds go towards the Haw River Assembly and supporting our cause and our belief system in protecting the watershed. So we work to protect 110 miles of the Haw River as it flows into Jordan Lake, and we work to protect the land that surrounds it as well. So it's not just water quality that we're trying to protect, but also the plants and animals that live up against it and require it to maintain their ecosystem.
Yeah, because people don't realize it's not just the river itself, but the adjoining banks and land. It's so important that it's not have a lot of pesticides done there. I mean, you've got to really protect all that, a certain acreage of land along the banks on each side is really important.
Absolutely. Lots of people know about the Jordan Lake buffer rules that you're required to have.
The buffer, thank you, that was the word I was
50
struggling
feet of
with.
the riparian buffer, the natural vegetation, but a lot of counties actually have more stricter rules, something that I just recently learned in this new position,
Okay.
to make sure that those vegetative areas stay intact.
Yeah, I remember when the Eno River Association got started many years ago. They were one of the first to really, that was I think in the 60s, I think it was in the 60s, because I was living in Durham at the time. Yeah, Margaret Nygaard, this wonderful woman, got it started, and what they spent a lot of time is raising money to buy land on each side of it, to have a good buffer zone to protect that water. And I think the Eno River's doing pretty good in terms of the quality of the water, but the Hog gets so much industrial stuff dumped into it.
It is a rising concern, absolutely,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
industrial contaminants.
Yeah. So what, are you from North Carolina, or are you new here?
So I'm not originally from North Carolina, I'm from Northern Virginia, but I moved down here, it's almost 8 years ago to go to school.
Uh-huh.
So I actually just moved to Carborough myself, I live right down the street.
Oh, how
From
convenient. Yeah.
from Greensboro. And in Greensboro is where I went to college and where I started my career in conservation.
So that's what you studied in college?
I studied biology, but all of my work experience was outdoors and in conservation work.
Good for you. Good for you. So you have a good academic and experiential background in this job.
I try and I try to bring it here to the Hot River Assembly the best I can.
Yeah. Well, it seems like it'd be a neat job if that's what your love and passion is, and that'll give you a lot of room to learn more.
Yeah, absolutely. I really like the job as of 2 weeks in. But it's different than any work that I've done before because all of my previous work experience is government-based. And now in a nonprofit world, you kind of have that advocacy component that I'm not used to, but I'm super passionate about. So I'm really glad to be a part of it.
Well, that's wonderful. We need young people like you.
Thank you.
Yeah, some of us and some of people have been around a long time, and we need young people coming and having that same passion and bringing all new skills and enthusiasm to it. Yeah. So back to the film festival. So that's going to be September 5th, next Thursday.
Yes.
At the Century Center in downtown Carborough.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a fundraiser.
Yes, it's about 90 minutes of film with a break halfway in between. The Steel String Brewing Company, they'll be there providing drinks at cost, and then we'll be serving popcorn.
Oh, okay. So there's going to be beer and popcorn?
Yeah.
Sounds good. Okay, so it's about 90 minutes with a break. And it's a break in the price if you're a student, you get...
Yes, breaking the price if you're a student or if you're an HRA member.
Yeah, so that's an encouragement. So if you pay the $30, that can also get you a membership?
I want to say it's a little more expensive. It's our regular membership fee, but it's
Yeah.
not anything additional to the membership fee.
Okay.
Because all of the money goes to the same place, your
Uh-huh.
membership fee as what you would for a ticket.
Right.
It's just the price of the membership fee, but it is an option whenever you go to register online to get your tickets.
To consider that you're now a member and will maybe devote some of your time and...
Absolutely.
And
So there are lots of ways that members can get involved, including volunteering at events like this or coming to board meetings and just asking questions. A lot of our volunteers just ask a lot of questions. They like to be kept up to date.
Mm-hmm.
And so they get like our weekly emails and our monthly newsletters. So
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of advantages if you care, especially if you live here and you care about your local rivers.
absolutely, and that's, so here in Carborough, that's not where we get our drinking water like they do in Pittsburgh, but we do like to use the Hot River for recreation and paddling and kayaking, so
Mm-hmm.
all of those things are still concern us.
Yeah, and the Hog, does that flow into Jordan Lake, or?
It does. It's
So-
one of the rivers that flows.
So even though that's not directly our drinking water, Jordan Lake is some of our drinking water.
Yes.
So it does behoove us to be knowledgeable of what about what happens with the Haw River, doesn't it?
Absolutely, because the Haw River is upstream. And so anything that starts upstream gets carried downstream.
And we're downstream.
Yes.
Yeah. So who else gets the water from the Haw River? Do you know?
So the town of Pittsburgh is the only town that gets its drinking water directly. From the Haw.
Okay.
But the problems that the Haw faces do affect other reservoirs and surrounding drinking water areas.
Yeah. So it's a big responsibility.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the responsibility of all of us. Rivers are
Yeah.
public land for public use. They belong to all of us, and so it takes all of us to protect them.
So this is a wonderful opportunity to have fun.
Yes, while still becoming aware of current environmental issues and seeing some activism, but also the films are meant to be beautiful. Originally, when the Wild and Scenic Film Festival started, that's really what they were focused on was, exposing all of these undiscovered beautiful territories and beautiful areas within the United States. But as it's grown and adapted, it's kind of developed that activism sense and environmentalism feel to it.
So it started, where did you say it started?
In California?
Oh, in California. Oh, so many good things start there.
Yes.
So it started in California, and now they're
So now they're
distributing it local.
Yes. So what they do is they have their film festival every year, and then they basically they do a tour, and any town can host a film festival, the Wild and Scenic Film Festival, and so we host it here in Carver.
Wonderful. So is it the first time that we're having it here in Carver? First time I've heard of it.
It's not the first time that we're having it here in Carrboro, but I do know that we've previously held it in other locations.
Okay.
But I think Carrboro I think it's our favorite place to hold it. I think that's where we'll continue to hold it. The town really appreciates it. So.
Yeah. And you've just moved to Carrboro.
Yes, I moved and started a new job on the same weekend.
Oh boy. And then, so Carrboro, I think you're going to be really happy. It's a really cool place.
I've been super impressed so far, and I've only made it a couple blocks because, like I said, I live like 4 minutes away, but it's beautiful.
Well, and the other thing that's really nice about it, and especially you could walk here to the radio station, 4 blocks away. I mean, there's a lot of walkability.
Yes, I was distributing flyers for the Wild and Scenic Film Festival the other day, and I thought I was going to have to drive all the way around town to go to all of these places, and I came into this parking lot actually, and there was like 6 of the locations that I needed to stop in here, so.
Yeah, so that makes life really nice. It's nice to see people walking on the streets instead of these deserted streets and filled up parking lots. Our parking lots get filled up, and there's still lots of people out walking, especially on Saturday mornings at the farmers market.
I have not been yet, but I have heard amazing things about the farmers market.
It's one of the first ones in the state, and it's a really good one. Yeah, I think you'll be impressed. I don't know how it compares with you were in Greensboro.
Yes.
I bet it's better than Greensboro.
I can't tell that it's better than Greensboro.
Do you still have family back in Greensboro?
My boyfriend's family lives in Greensboro, so we go back pretty often.
Where does your family live?
My family still lives in Northern Virginia, so they live in the Shenandoah Valley.
I bet that's beautiful too.
Apple country.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think right now we're going to be moving into apple part of the season, and there'll be apple. I think I saw something somewhere about a big apple festival. Will you probably go home for an apple festival if you get a chance?
I do, if I get the chance. Yes, they usually hold one at the end of April, beginning of May.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
I would think they would have it like in September and October.
I think they do it then for the weather.
Okay. Okay, so we'll get back to the film. Tell us about a couple. You said there's a couple of the film you had taken some notes on, so you could tell us about.
Yeah, so the 2 in particular that I'll be introducing. One of them is The Accidental Environmentalist, which I think the title in itself is funny because I never thought that environmentalism would be something that I myself would be getting into, but have stumbled upon it and found a passion in it somewhere in the middle of college. But the film itself, most of these films are under 10 minutes long, But this one in particular is about wastewater treatment problems and raw sewage problems in Alabama, and how they're having problems with third world environmental and public health conditions right here in the United States. And so how they're working with local legislators to kind of bring that up to public knowledge and how they can fight against it. Because even though that the environmental movement is gaining more traction, often the movement is at the expense of people who suffer from poverty. And so, you know, the rest of this town and this county is thriving, but this part of Alabama is not. And it's because they don't traditionally have the money to argue for themselves and advocate for themselves. So the person who actually leads the documentary, or the 10-minute flick, she's actually from the area. She left and then she came back so that she could fight for her hometown.
Oh, good for her. And what's the other film?
The other film is Our National Parks Belong to Everyone, So Why Are They So White? And they talk, and they talk about the controversial past of public lands and their accessibility to people, and particularly people of color, and how conservationists right now are trying to diversify the movement. They want everyone to be represented because it's everyone's planet and it's everyone's, these public spaces are meant for everyone. But in the conservation field, less than 20% of employees and less than 20% of the people that are visiting those parks are people of color.
Well, that's interesting. You know, I never thought about that.
It's not something that I think that we all notice like right away until it's pointed out.
Yeah.
And then you realize, oh, I am the only one here. Or
Yeah.
I haven't seen anybody else. So it's not something that's always at the forefront of our mind, but it's definitely coming to the forefront of the social justice component of environmentalism.
And you know, that makes sense if you think about it, because a lot of people, if you don't have, it takes some money to have a car that can go far enough and have the gas to go, and then to get camping equipment if you're going to go camping. I mean, that takes...
Yes. So it's not a film that I'm introducing, so I'm not going to be able to recall the title, but they do talk about that. There's a nonprofit group that works to bus Latina kids from their homes and from their schools, basically, to public park spaces, so that they have that outdoor experience versus just the solitary inner city experience.
Yeah, that's such an interesting thing to think about, and how to make it more accessible.
More accessible and also more inviting.
Yeah, I remember that there used to be programs for New York City kids you would hear about, and they take a lot of them camping or to summer camp in the Catskills, you know, get them out of the city. And I remember hearing, you know, they'd really raise a lot of money. And I think, what a great idea, you know, getting any kind of kids, but particularly kids who are in the inner city who don't get a chance maybe to get out as much, to get out of the heat of the city and out into where the woods and
even spaces that aren't necessarily as large as somewhere like New York. So in my previous work in Greensboro, the kids that lived within the city limits, there were some of them who had never been out in the woods and were terrified. Yeah. All the things that go bump in the night live in the woods. So getting them through free school programs to go out to those spaces was really important. But, you know, sometimes if you're not raised in those public spaces to go out and to go camping on the weekends with your family, it's not something that you really think about, and it's not something that I thought about until I was in college.
Really?
Yeah. So I had never had a camping experience until I was in college, and I'm really happy that I loved it because it's definitely made it so that where I am today, it had everything to do with it. And so exposing people to that at a younger age makes it a possibility for them.
Yeah, well, I mean, I remember, I didn't know anything about camping growing up, and and a lot of my friends would go off to camp, and my folks just didn't have the money and resources. The libraries are what saved me in the summer, you know,
Yeah.
any free libraries. But I understand that. I mean, a lot of white or black, but especially when you don't have much money, it's just not in your, you know, my father was from Brooklyn. He was a city kid. He didn't think about going out into nature. You know? He liked
My
gardening.
father's from the Bronx, so I understand. But absolutely. So, I mean, there's a whole socioeconomical component to environmentalism that sometimes kind of gets brushed under the rug because we want to do all of these good things, but sometimes we forget to include everyone. So.
Yeah, to include everyone. And if we're going to be talking about climate change and wanting to, you know, care about the planet, care about all the creatures, including humans, on this planet, you have to love it. And if you don't have any experience about loving it, it's really hard for you to want to make changes to take care of it.
Absolutely. It's hard to get passionate about something that you've never been a part of.
That's right.
So.
Yeah. And that's where even big parks in towns and stuff can make a difference where kids, I mean, at least where I grew up, there used to be empty lots. It was, you know, a medium-sized town on Long Island. There was some empty lots. There was some trees. So I did have that experience of nature, which is really, you know, formed my love of nature, even without being able to go to the more magnificent, you know, big national parks. But there were trees and playing outside and having forts in these small woods. But if kids don't even get that, where they cement everything over.
Yeah.
Or
they cut recess times or whatever the cause may be wherever you are.
Yes. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it takes one really great moment outside in the outdoors to kind of make your belief or, you know, give you that positive energy regarding the outdoors and environmentalism. I mean, it affects us all. And I think the really great part about some of these films at the Wild and Scenic Film Festival and some of the films that we chose to put on this year is that it really intertwines the concept that environmental health and public health are the same thing.
Yes.
They absolutely affect us. You know, from drinking water to how we dispose of wastewater and take care of wastewater to, you know, saving the trees and all of those things. So.
Yeah. Well, we've been, as a human beings, we've been very careless with the whole planet and have been trashing it as fast as we could. And now I think it's coming back to bite us. And, you know, and it's going to be hard to make the changes that are going to need to be made. And it is going to take commitment, and it is going to take that love and understanding what you're working towards.
Absolutely. And it all starts at the local level, at least in my personal opinion. It starts with who you vote for in your local elections, who you volunteer with, nonprofits and other community organizations that are working towards the same goal. It's amazing how many people have the same mission and are split off into a bunch of separate organizations. But I would say that working nonprofit, I've noticed that we do a really good job at trying to work together to meet those goals. Even if we're split apart in the organizational aspect, we all have the same goal, and so we all like to come together to kind of accomplish that goal.
And I think that you're hitting on something that's going to be really important. There's a word that's being used in recent years, intersectionality, which it was a mouthful. But I think what they're talking about is exactly what you're saying. Instead of all these people being split up with their little territory here and there, to realize when the goal is the same, to pull together for those goals, whether it's the environmental movement, the peace movement, you know, racial justice, how they all connect, these
Absolutely.
all connect together.
And that's why I really appreciate working for the Haw River Assembly. I mean, not only do we just protect we don't just protect the watershed. We protect the trees that surround the watershed, the animals that live around the watershed. So it's not just drinking water, right? It's
Exactly.
everything that goes into our drinking water, protects our drinking water, because all of those things are connected.
And I think that that's what people are beginning to realize more and more, and that's one of the things I've loved about our organization that supports this program, the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. It's always been a multi-issue. And sometimes you feel like you're scattered in so many directions, you know, and you get, oh my gosh. But it tries to draw it all together because we're all working towards, you know, similar goals. And they are all connected, and we mustn't lose sight of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I want to get back to something else you were saying that really struck me, how that it's so important that you have one of these main seminal moments with nature, whether you get, you know, you're in your little local park with the trees, or with me playing, you know, with friends in these little small woods. It seemed so big when I was a kid, but I realized now it was just a very small woods and part of a block. There's a very fairly well-known Thomas Berry, he's an eco-spiritual person, and he died not that many years ago. And he had this seminal experience as a kid. They had moved to this neighborhood. He was pretty young. I don't remember, 7 or 8. And there was this meadow. And it was, you know, there was more space than he was used to. He went into that meadow, and he had this really spiritual experience that just really stayed with him and really informed all his work then as he became a priest and then studied all these religions all over the world, and from those he sort of got getting into this whole eco-spirituality, how, you know, that you have to have that spiritual component if it's really going to be effective. And so yeah, it was the meadow for him, and
it was in Greensboro.
And it was in Greensboro, that's
Oh,
right.
wow.
Yes, he thank you. He grew up in Greensboro and actually traveled all over. He lived in India for a while and in China studying Confucianism. He lived with Native Americans, had a great deep understanding, grew to have a deep understanding of Native American spirituality, which he feels we need to understand that, because that is another way of really respecting everything on this earth. You know, all the plants, the animals, all of it. And so this is the 10th anniversary of his death, so there's a lot of seminars and things regarding his teachings. I'm getting the signal. This is when we take a break, we catch our breath, and we can come back, and if we have some time, we'll play some music, but we'll see how it goes.
Awesome.
This is Will's Wake Up Call on WCOM LP, Chapel Hill and Carver, 103.5 FM. You can stream us live at WCOMFM.org.
Just want to mention that there was, this has been a big issue. Here has been the talking about race issues, about the Silent Sam statue on campus that was brought down about a year ago. And so last night, I don't know if you heard about it. Yeah?
Yes.
There was a big celebration at Peace and Justice Plaza, which is right at the old post office on Franklin Street. And I understand, I wasn't there, but 2 of the team were there, that it was a really pretty good crowd. Anybody wants to say anything?
Well, they moved from Peace and Justice to the spot where Silent Sam used to stay, and then they went to the Unsung Heroes Monument, and then they went to the Old Well, and they ended up at Franklin and Columbia where they shut down traffic.
Well, so a lot happened. I had good intentions, but I had some family things, and by the time that finished, between the heat and getting old, I didn't have enough of me left to go and to partake, but my heart was with you all, and I'm so glad there was a good turnout. And so yes, the traffic circle was closed down for a while at I think Columbia and Franklin, and so it was a celebration. We can hope that it stays as a celebratory thing. And I just read in the paper today that the in Pittsburgh, the council there voted to invite the Daughters of the Confederacy to take back their statue that they've been placing it on public land, but they own the statue. And since it's not a public statue, they don't have to abide by what the state legislature is trying to, as usual, micromanage everything everywhere. And so that's supposed to be down by, they're aiming for October and definitely by November.
November 1st, I think it'll be considered trespassing on public property.
Really?
I love it. I love it. And that's happening all over the country. You know, these things were not put up right after the Civil War. They were put up during Reconstruction, right when they were trying to end Reconstruction and institute the Jim Crow regime in the South particularly. And so this was part of trying to develop these romantic myths about the Civil War, not that it was treason, not that it was to end slavery, but that it was this romantic thing. And right now, consciousness is different. We've come a long way, especially the civil rights movement was raised the consciousness of many Americans about injustice in this country. So that was a real celebration, and I hope that the university continues on a better path regarding that. So were you able to go?
I was not able to go. I had a board meeting yesterday, my first board meeting with HRA, so I got to meet some of the board members yesterday.
How was that?
It was excellent. Everyone's super sweet, and I'm excited to be there, and I think they're excited to have me, so that always helps.
So they made you feel very welcome.
Absolutely.
And we are so delighted with you being so new to meet you. We're one of the first. I hope it's is it your first radio show?
It is absolutely my first radio show.
So we hope that it won't be too painful. So let's see, I wanted to ask you, you said that you were introducing two films. You told us about the second one, the National Parks, but said that that was not one you were introducing. You were introducing the one, The Accidental Environmentalist. What is the other one you're introducing?
No, the other one I am introducing is the National Parks
one. Oh, you are introducing
the one regarding the nonprofit that buses Latino kids. I won't be introducing, but it is one that we are playing.
And what is that one?
Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to recall the name.
Oh, okay. So there's a one of the wild and scenic movies is about Latino children?
Yes, there are quite a few. So some of them are about the activism and environmentalism side of it, and then some of them are the traditional wild and scenic where they've captured the beauty of a place and they want to share it with everyone. So.
Okay, so we'll be seeing beauty and also learning.
Yes, absolutely.
That's a good combination.
Yes.
Yeah. So back to the Haw River. So the Haw River, you're new to it, so they work on, I guess, public education about the river, but also advocacy for the river.
Yes, so they do both components. So they have the advocacy component, which is really Emily and Elaine's focus. And then we also do events and outreach. So one outreach program that we do every year, and this year is our 30th year doing it, is the Learning Celebration.
The what?
The Learning Celebration.
Ah, that's right. You can tell me about that. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So the Learning Celebration is a 3-week-long event. The first week is in Bynum, and the second week is in Saxmahon, Alamance County, and the third week is in Guilford County at Camp Gilrock. And each week, 4 of those days are dedicated to busing 4th graders out to the program so that they can have educational environmental field day. So that can include going on hikes along the river, doing stream watch investigation led by Emily, but as well as kind of inspiring them, really, because we don't want it all to be strictly science and just like it would be in a classroom. We also want them to have that moment. We want to kind of spark that moment to students in schools that don't traditionally have that opportunity. So they also do art projects that are made of native clay and other things that get them really involved in the outdoors. And it's been an amazing program that I've been able to join into. I was lucky, most of the work was already done for me when I got here. But we are still recruiting volunteers, and volunteers can either come out to the event to volunteer, they can choose a day and just stay for the day, or they can camp with us on site. Every Wednesday night we have potluck dinners for everyone who's ever been involved in HRA. So it definitely is going to feel like a community family event. We do campfires and singing and of course amazing food. We also have volunteers that can't necessarily make the commitment to come out with us, but they do make the commitment to make food for the volunteers.
Yes.
So they do bring us everything from burritos to stews. So the volunteers that we have are really great ones, and they've done a really great job at committing to this event. We couldn't run it without them.
Yeah, well, some years ago when I was a little younger, I volunteered, I think 3 or 4 days, I can't remember exactly, when it was, what's the closest, I guess Bynum?
Bynum or Saxville, they're both about 20 minutes away.
Yeah, one of them, and it was great. I had so much fun, you know, and then sitting around the campfire at night, and some people just come before the supper time and bring all these pots of food. And,
Absolutely.
And
it's a huge community thing. And, you know, of course, during the day when we get to hang out with the kids and we get to take them through different station work, and we really get to see them light up as they're, you know, hanging out outside with their friends, and they don't even know that they're learning stuff. So.
Oh, it was so much fun, those different stations. And we had talked earlier about kids need a lot of times just that one seminal experience that stays with them, and that certainly provides it to kids. It's just
Absolutely. We get new volunteers all the time as well who have never necessarily had that moment and find that moment at the learning celebration.
just volunteers themselves.
Yes, we have people that volunteer for a couple of days and love it. We have people that volunteer all 3 weeks and move campsite to campsite with us. So, you know, any level of dedication.
I think I did either a week or part of a week anyhow. I really enjoyed it. It was wonderful. Yeah.
It's a great event, and the kids love it. We have a couple of board members, in fact, who were inspired to be board members of the HRA because their kids were in school and they either volunteered with the event for school credit or they went to the program in elementary school. So,
and I'm trying to remember how it's set up. Is it a different group comes each day?
yes, so it's Tuesday through Friday. So we get to the campsite on Sunday, we do volunteer training, we get the campsite set up, and then each day different schools will come. So some days we have multiple schools, some days we just have one school. It depends on how large the class is, and how many people we can fit in our rain site, because we have the event whether it's rain or shine. So we do have a backup rain site, and we want to make sure that we can fit as many students as we can in there, but we also want to make sure that it's safe. So we can only take on but so many schools.
Yeah, I remember seeing those buses come in the morning and the kids being so excited. Yeah, that is wonderful. I mean, I think any program like that where you get kids out into wilder nature than they're used to, but also where there's enough teaching so that it's not just a blur to them. They get to really start distinguishing what kind of tree this is, or what you can do with this, and you can use this to draw, you can use this to make paint, this kind of natural.
Absolutely. It's definitely an opportunity for them to explore.
Yeah.
But we also still get to talk to them about some of the more serious components of the environment. One of the main stations that we do is the Enviroscape, which is a 3D plastic model of a neighborhood with a farming community up the road, and we would talk about things like point source pollution and non-point source pollution. and how all of these things affect the Haw River. So it is a little specific to the Haw River, so the schools that we end up inviting are part of the watershed. So, not only are these places that they can visit after they leave us, but they're also places that they're going to want to protect because they're near their home.
Yeah, yeah, it is a wonderful program. And 3 weeks, so the Bynum, Saxapahaw, then up around Greensboro somewhere?
In Camp Gilrock, so right up against that Rockingham and Guilford County borderline.
Yeah. So that is one of the best things I think that y'all do. I mean, and that's 30 years now.
30 years. This year's the 30th anniversary.
Well,
So.
When something's good, you keep it going.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you were able to be part of it. You joined quick enough to get in.
Yes. So when I said I dove into the deep end, absolutely. So the event starts September 20th for us. I think September 21st is the first day that we get campers in Bynum. And then following that is the week in Saxapahaw and Gilrock.
So but that's after school has started, so that's right, so they come on school buses, they get off from class that day.
Correct. It's considered a field trip.
Oh, okay, that's what I didn't remember that part. Oh, okay, what a great field trip. Yeah, it's too bad there is not more of that being done. That's just wonderful. I know my sister used to work on Long Island, and they had an organic farm there where the nuns' main convent was, and they would bring kids from the inner city in New York or close to the city and bring them out to Long Island to where they had the organic farm. And for some kids, they were just dumbfounded that carrots came out of the ground.
Absolutely.
They just see them in the supermarket. I mean, it's just things we don't realize. They just have had no experience with, and of course, how
or
would
just
they?
no exposure. So I mean, I think that's one of the biggest benefits to the Learning Celebration, or even the Wild and Scenic Film Festival for adults. It's just that exposure, really, because you can't begin to understand something until you've been exposed to it. I mean, it makes all the difference. So.
Yeah. So this is going to be a lot of learning and fun for you.
Absolutely, I'm super excited.
Yeah, and you bring your biology background and your academic background to that.
Yes, hopefully I can use it to answer some questions that I know that I'll get asked. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what does your family think about it? Are they excited for you?
They were excited for me for the move and the new opportunity. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think my mother in particular finds it kind of hilarious because as a child I was one of those people that was scared of the outside.
Really?
Yeah, so, but she grew up on a dairy farm, so she loves being outdoors and she loves the animals. So I think that it's also made us grow closer. As I've gotten older and become more passionate about it, it's something that we can do together.
Yeah, so it was like the circle kind of coming around in your family. So she grew up on a farm.
She did.
And
my dad grew up in the middle of the Bronx, New York.
So she can have that appreciation. Are you going to bring her out to show her the Haw and?
I hope to. She should be coming out in the next month or two. So hopefully, I'm hoping that I can get her to come volunteer with me because she does not do camping, and I want to get her into camping.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So have you started camping, or is that something you've been doing?
So my first summer job in college was actually 10 weeks of camping, and I had never camped before. So apparently I just like to dive in the deep end.
Good for you.
But I absolutely loved it. So
Where was that at?
So it was all across the state with North Carolina. I did it with an AmeriCorps program, which is a federally recognized service program, kind of like the Peace Corps, but domestic.
But domestic Peace Corps, yeah.
Yep. So I was with the North Carolina Youth Conservation Corps. That was my first exposure to conservation work and environmentalism. And I was with all-female adult crew, and it was 7 of us, and we had a blast. So. They absolutely helped shape the experience. All of them were great. They had been camping before. I had not. So they all assisted me the whole way.
But that was good that at least somebody had some experience.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we did projects across the state. So I've camped in Durham and near Jordan Lake. We didn't do very much work in the mountains, but I did get a chance to camp in Cape Hatteras, where we were helping restore some of the historic fencing around the lighthouses.
Well, Cape Hatteras, I've camped there, and that's really harsh.
It's intense, especially in the middle of July. It is mosquito breeding season.
Yes, it's very intense. And what we found with the family, that place called Frisco was that had the dunes, and at least
and the lack of shade.
Yeah, but the rest of the other ones were like flat, you know. At least with the dunes, and we had a canopy, but even then it was harsh. We tried to start timing it, you know, into more close to the fall or early spring. Yeah, it's rough.
It's intense, but the learning celebration and that camping is a lot nicer.
It's a lot nicer with trees and
Yes, and we're right near the river. So in Bynum, we're in the Lower Hall State Park Reserve area, and in Saxby-Hall, we're on one of our board members. We're on private land. She owns a horse farm. So we're up against the river, and we'll get to see the horses every day as we go in. So I'm really excited about that.
Have you ever been horseback riding?
I have been horseback riding. My mother owns horses.
Oh, she does?
She does. I am not very good at it. But
yeah. But it's something you.
It's something I've tried.
So you try a lot of things, and in Bynum, I've been. I think when you go right near the bridge, and there's that little park to the left there. Is that the park you think? There's a whole walk along the river. Maybe that's not the one you.
It's back in the Old Mill neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So right up against there.
Yeah, I love that walk.
They used to hold the Haw River Festival there.
Yes.
But it started getting too big for the space.
Yeah, they did, and I liked it there a whole lot. But that walk along the river, I haven't done it in a few years, but one of my daughters lives between Pittsboro and Chapel Hill, and took me on that hike more than once, and I love that.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
As you're walking along, the river's singing to you the whole way. It's just gorgeous. Yeah. So that's where you have the. So I guess when I did it, I must have done Saxby-Hall.
In Alamance County.
Yeah. So that's. I'm just so happy for you and happy for the Haw River that you're going to be there working for it. Is there anything that how are we on time? What does that mean? The minutes, 47. So we got a few more minutes and then we can play some music.
Just a few.
Is there why don't you just tell us again, because we really want to promote that film festival. Why don't we go through and how people, how they can go online, how they can find out more about it.
Okay, so they can sign up for the film festival. Again, that's at the Carborough Century Center on Thursday, September 5th. The doors open up at 6 p.m. The films begin at 6:30, and the event goes till about 9:30 with an intermission with Steel String Brewery beer and popcorn. And the tickets can be bought online.
So to go online, what do you go to?
You can do one of two options. You can find us on Facebook, Haw River Assembly on Facebook, and buy tickets under the event. Or you can go onto our website, which is hawriver.org, and you can go under our events list where the Wild and Scenic Film Festival is listed, and you can buy tickets on our website.
So you can buy tickets online.
Mm-hmm.
If you miss that, can you get them at the door? What do you think?
That I do not.
Well, we could go online and see if you could get them at the door if you didn't get them online. I would imagine if there's tickets left, there's probably a limit on space because it'll be inside
Correct.
at the Century Center, which is a pretty big
It's a
space,
big room.
Yes.
but not enormous. So I guess if there's some spaces left, I bet you could get them at the door. But if
We
they-
have enough tickets so that you can bring your family. But yes, there is a limit. There is a limit to space.
Okay, so the tickets are for the regular person. They're $30.
Correct, and there are 25 for already Haw River Assembly members and $20 for students.
And 20 for students. Okay. And what about for children? Is there any, that would be just, I guess, the student price.
I want to say children under a certain age are free.
I bet
I
they
want
are.
to say.
Yeah. but you don't want to get in trouble either.
I don't want to get in trouble.
Well, no.
We were told it's free on the radio.
Yeah. Okay, so any questions that we're not answering today, go online and you can put your questions in or
Absolutely, or
Yeah.
you can give us a call.
Or-
You
or-
can find us right on Google. So
Okay, and if people would call, they have questions, what number should they call? Kyleene is looking up the number where.
they can call. I think I Googled it before I got here. 919-542-5790.
5790. 919-542-5790.
Correct.
If you have questions, otherwise go online, get a ticket, and just realize that this is a fundraiser to protect our local river,
Absolutely.
which protects our drinking water. And so this is, you could say it's really a self-centered thing to do. It's taking care of yourself here. And so it's a good thing to do, and you can also get a membership at the same time.
Absolutely.
And become a member, and then find out more of what's happening, or what we need to do to keep the Haw River as clean as possible. And so that sounds good. And that the learning celebration, that is something you can volunteer.
Yes, we always need volunteers.
Yes.
Definitely. Whether it's holding a station or leading the kids around and seeing them experience the stations, taking pictures or providing meals. So definitely.
All kinds of things, or many people are needed because they're going to have a whole.
We require all talents.
About how many kids come each day? Do you have any?
Depending on the location, about 100. So that
I
can
remember it's a lot.
Yes. So sometimes that can be just one school, the entire 4th grade class. Or if we're working with a charter school that day, it might be a smaller amount, so it might be 2 or 3 schools.
So volunteers, so that's another way to be involved, and also to be helping kids get that wonderful experience so that they want to love and protect nature and our planet. So that is going to be starting in September.
Yes, the September 21st is our first day in Bynum.
September 21st. So volunteers are needed, and 2 of the locations are pretty close, 20 minutes away, Bynum and Saxabaha. And also, if you don't feel like you can tromp around the woods, you can cook and bake something and show up at supper time and bring a whole lot of food, or a little bit of food, whatever you can bring.
Absolutely.
They have a hungry group there.
Yes.
And so there's all kinds of ways to be involved. And we so appreciate, Kyleene, your coming, and you did great.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. We're delighted.